The BYOP revolution started in Sydney in 2012 while I was in a university lecture. It was an interesting lecture because it was about narrative, which is something that I find quite intriguing and fairly important in the world that I live in. At that particular lecture, the lecturer had made mention of the fact that every narrative has actors, an audience and also a producer. I couldn't help but be puzzled by what he was saying because my experience was very different than that. Admittedly, when I was young watching television, it was very much like that. There was a television set, which was our narrative, and there were actors and a producer, and I, of course, were the audience. I had no bearing over what might take place on the screen. All I could do was change the channels. Of course, we didn't have reality TV back in those days. But of course, the world changed forever when we got Mario Kart. I remember playing Mario Kart with my sons, and I could be Blue Mario or Red Mario or Yellow Mario. And so now, for the first time in my life and the lives of my sons, we had some control over the narrative. Although we didn't produce the game, we could, by changing our cars and colours, affect the outcome and get a different result. Well, if I fast forward that to today, I realise that the way gaming has impacted young people has probably changed the world forever. I watch my sons now when they get on a video game on their computers, and now they are all free components. They are definitely the actors, they are also the audience, and they are also the producers, because every game that they're involved with is different than the previous one. Well, this got me to thinking about the way we raise money in not-for-profit organisations such as Metamorphic. And what we normally do is we ask people to give to what we would like them to give to. But I realise that Generation Y have changed the rules of engagement because what they want to do is have a say. I was in the Conservatory of Music in Sydney listening to some jazz where I actually saw this played out for the first time. The band began to play amazing music, but it was to sheets in front of them, giving them all the things that they must play. They didn't have any freedom, and although they played great music, the level of engagement was not fantastic. When the band leader said to them, hey, why don't we get rid of the sheet music and let's jam, and told them what three chords to play in, all of a sudden the engagement level lifted and the music went through the roof as these people had freedom and scope to move within the boundaries that the band leader had given them. It was this concept in the middle of the Conservatory of Music in Sydney that led me to invent what we now call the BYOP revolution. From that point of time, I realised that young people, Gen Y and younger, but even older people like me, want to have more freedom and more say over how they give and how they transform the world that they live in. So that's why we began to design BYOP, which now is very much like the jazz example that I just spoke about, where we give you the chords that you can play in and you decide how you want to script that, what sort of project you want, in what nation and in what size. You decide all the dimensions. In fact, you have the power to choose how you change the world. The BYOP revolution is all about choice, and we're glad today to be the ones that are launching this so that you and your friends can change the world in a meaningful way.